Here are the parts that we're going to start with. They'll come to you laser cut and looking like this. I'll describe them for you. This is the deck that gets bolted down to the airplane or into the cockpit of the Cessna 170. 6 screws and 6 little feet. I give you 2, 4, 6, 8, 2 extras in the kit. These are the side rails for the deck. These slots are big enough to fit the existing Velcro that comes with the aircraft. So if you choose to use it, that's good. They'll fit in here, and you can use your Velcro to strap it to the cartridge. I think there's 3 pieces in there. All you need is 2 or 1, really. Next part is a 440 by 3/8 stainless steel cap head Allen screw and a 440 nut. These are the deck rails. They go on the side of the deck. They act as spacers to keep the deck off of the cockpit floor, so the dogs, which are here, 4 dogs, can remain floating above the cockpit floor. Here are 2 retaining gates. You only need 1, but I'm going to send you an extra one just to have. It's, you know, from the Carbon Z Cub experience. You know, people like to have an extra one of those. These are the feet, I've said again. This is the wrench for the 440 nut. This is the front end of the gate, or front end of the cartridge. Also with a magnet hole in it, and that's the hole for the 440 bolt. These are the adapters, they call them slides, that go into this slot on the bottom of the cartridge. This is the 3-motor / ESC retainer that goes into the front of the deck in this little hole. Again, with the F is always forward to the propeller end of the aircraft. F, 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 and F. If the part doesn't have an F on it, it doesn't matter. Okay, so that describes the parts. Let's start with the next operation. Okay, here is one way to do it. There's probably many, but I'm going to attempt it this way. These feet like to stand up straight. It's always a good thing when you can stand up straight. So what I'm going to use one of the rails as a shim. Get a painter stick from the depot, or you know, any big bucket stirring stick or straight edge will do. What you want to do is lay it down on the table and set it there, and that way all your feet are standing straight up and down. It's a good place to start, straight up and down. It's a little delicate, but you know, just work your way through it and start by tacking. Whoops. I like to use medium CA for this whole operation. It just seems to work out really well, and it's working for me. So good to weight it so things aren't moving around. This is aluminum. I'm cheating. It's kind of nice. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack it inside. You know, just spread it out a little bit and make a fillet with the front end of the tip of the glue bottle. Wait for that to dry, or kick it with kicker, CA kicker. And those will pretty much stay there. The other side, there's one offset to it. So what we're going to do there, actually, let's follow that up with I wonder if that'll fit in there. Keep that straight. See if I can't keep my bald head out of view. There we go. And we're just going to tack it, touch it down, and make sure we're standing up straight. And we're going to tack it here. And there. You want to stay out of the holes? Well, it probably doesn't hurt you. You're not going to block it too bad. Those are the holes that hole or you use to screw down through the deck into the base cockpit plywood. I'm going to call it 6 different things. I'm sure of it by the time we're done, but you get the idea. Kick it. This is just kind of to keep things in place, and then I go back over everything and fill it with more CA. Okay, a little trick I learned is a good way to do this is to set the parts flat on the deck, all of them, and the parts that you want to glue together. Ooh, that's going fast. Okay, so just run a bead at the seam all the way along, and what that's going to do is for you is it's going to stand that when you stand it up, all the glue will be in the right spot, strangely. Okay, same the other side. Run it along that seam and then stand that up. Make sure it's in the slots. Push down on the table. Weight it. Weight it, he says, with no weights. Okay, there you have it. Let that dry. Kick it a little bit. That's pretty much it for the deck. Well, actually there's one more piece. There's some work to do on the top of it. Okay, after we tacked everything in place with the Home Depot stir sticks, peel it away. Make sure you're not glued to everything in creation like I usually am. I'm going to put those aside until we need them next. Some work to do on top of the deck. There's a little bolt to it, but that's not going to matter. When you get bolted down to the plane or to the plywood in the cockpit, 6 screws, everything's going to flatten out rather nicely. And so when the idea of these little standoffs and these feet on the back is to keep everything keep the screw from forcing the edge of this down towards the deck, which gets in the way of the dog. Eventually that'll make more sense. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is grab the retainer and place it. Just make sure it's square with or set with your eye. You know, nice and square. That'll be good enough. What it's for is just to retain wires, the ESC and motor wires up front. Okay, so we make sure it's pointed forward a little bit. There, grab the heat gun, burn yourself. Okay, there. You know when you're good when the CA just stings the hell out of your nose. Okay, so what I like to do is go back and make sure that there's a fillet everywhere. This, if you fillet this, you know, first when you glue it, you know, with the seams both laying flat, and then kick it, turn it back up, and then go over the fillet with a real light coat of CA. And when you've got a boss sticking into a slot, or a tongue and groove, this situation, or tongue and slot, if you go over it like that, I found it just works really well. It hangs around. This is a piece of waste piece. I think it'll send with the kit, or any piece will do on your workbench, and just kind of mash it in a slot, mash it around. It's not the prettiest thing, but you know, it hardens that and gets down in the seam around the slot. So it's a pretty good practice all the way around. Okay, that's pretty much it for the deck and parts. Again, screw down there, and that's gonna go in the plane. Okay, next we're gonna build the cartridge, and consists of the deck, the front rail, 2 side rails, all marked with F's. Let's go forward to the left, actually, well, whatever, to the prop end of the plane. And they go together thusly. You can do it this way, as we did the little joint cleanup. There, and there. Always not a bad idea. Okay, there, and there. And they're all going to stand up into each other like that. Okay, so we'll glue our seam like we did before. There, and there. And stand that up, follow with a little block in there, and pretty much that's how it goes together. Oops. Okay, make sure you're square. Okay, next operation are the dogs and the slides. And chances are there's going to be a little bit of chaff that you see from the laser cut that you need to clean off the little cuts. Hopefully not a lot of that. Just make sure everything's nice and deburred and ready to go together. Clean that chaff off. There's 2 different pieces to the slides. A top and a bottom, as it were. The one that gets located on the deck, you want to definitely do this on the bottom of the deck, are these 5 pieces. So they plug on there and plug on there, and that's kind of how the composite of these parts is going to end up. There and there, and plug it in the holes. That's kind of how we want it to end up. We want these things square with each other. I haven't figured out the best way to put these things either together outside of the situation or together here. Probably together here is the best that you might find. Okay, we're gonna put that down and make sure they're all square and even when the glue goes on. I think we'll be good. Okay, so take that out, take that apart, make sure you've got the sequence in your head how these things are going to go together. So we're going to lay them down like that, and down like that, and dot everything with glue. because those guys drop down in the slide of the deck, like so, and slide back and forth. After some sanding and some waxing, is going to be fantastic. Okay, the last piece of the dog and adapter situation is this. Glue that on there. Get some glue in the joint there. Get some glue in the joint there. This is the most important part. This is going to hang your battery in the aircraft, and that's what's going to keep it in the aircraft. So you don't want to skimp on the glue here. You want to make sure everything nice and schvar and tight. And these holes I put in there so you can inject glue into them. And then you want to, mash that down. That should get a good stamp going. Okay, and then as usual, okay, so the first thing you do is want to make these parallel. Just make sure you're sitting down nice and square. And, deburr the edge. The more you do this, the easier it's going to flow. And flow into a plane is what you want. You just want it to drop in nicely like it was meant to be. There. Just all the edges, round them off a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of a draft angle on the dogs this way, so it helps center it up in the hole and drop in. So that's why I'm sanding it at that, there, and then I take this, which is just a tar paper, contact adhesive to one of the laser waste cutoffs, and I like to run that underneath there, because that'll clean up underneath. It should be oh yeah, that's getting better. Okay, so those slides they ride on this edge, and that keeps it from too much slop and play, but it does help it wiggle back and run it back and forth several times so the parts get used to living with each other. Those pop into the dogs, and it'll get easier, but that's pretty good to start. Okay, so that function is fitting into the deck, sliding back, and this is how it's supposed to look and work. When it's all together. Okay, so we're going to continue deburring. I'm going to take some of that. Okay, I like to go over all the edges, all the square edges with a piece of sandpaper to make everything just kind of flow together and deburr it. Had to track down the sandpaper across the shop. Okay, the next operation is the retaining gate. And the retaining gate, it's magnets. I neglected to include a washer in the parts description, but the kit's going to retain or include a washer. Hey, come back here. Because what it does is it performs kind of a strengthening operation to the plywood around the hole. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take that, and we're going to take a 3/32 Allen, Ball end by Bondus, great stuff. Or well, I think it's by Bondus. Yeah, Bondus, great tools. There, we're going to start the 3/8 440 in the hole. And what you want to do is you want to align it with your eye 90, right? You just kind of want to get it going straight and hot, straight, and normal with the washer on it. Okay, you end up with something like that. Forward, forward, the F's are forward. Whoops. Here and here. And you want to start it here. And then follow it in. Getting that little bit of draft angle. There. And you always want to keep an eye on this, you know. I put the nut on the back and then I CA it in place. Like so. You take the supplied wrench, you know, get that little nut on there. And the supplied wrench is a little handy little tool that comes with the kit. Alright, got plywood, might as well cut it. And cinch it down. You know, a wrench isn't made to last forever, but it'll last long enough. There's two ends to it. And, oops, looks like that screw backed out. How weird. Okay, so, like that. And then put the wrench on it. Again. Let go. And the magnets or something else. Okay, that's that. Run some CA on it. And it will never come out again. Okay. That's going to make it easy for the next operation, which is setting the magnets in the holes. And what you can do is you take the other gate or some piece of flat waste and hold it on the back and drop your magnets in the hole. You always want to keep the magnets together because then the polarity will always be correct. You know, it's a pain in the ass getting it backwards. You got to dig it out of there. So to start with is, you know, you just get some glue on it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. It'll snap in there after a while, get some furniture polish on everything, and that's what we're going to do next. Make sure it all works together. Okay, so that, the deck that you built previously, run them together. That magnet should pull that thing down in there. If not, that's what you want to make sure happens in the aircraft. Pull it up. There. Oh, I know it. A good suggestion is to do is take this. You want to just ease the edges on the retaining gate. I forgot to deburr it, so it's best just to ease all the corners and just makes going into the hole a whole lot easier. Okay, it's got to come up when it's, because that'll help you get it down into there. Work it back and forth and you're almost there. The only thing now is to watch the next video, which is the install of the deck in the aircraft. And there's a blooper reel. For me, when I do something completely wrong and stupid, I still tape it, and I'm going to make a blooper reel this time. There you have it. Let's wax it. I'm also going to supply some Velcro dots I found at Amazon. Bought 1,000 of them for just dirt cheap, and they seem to be enough Velcro. Velcro's, and I like Velcro. I don't want you guys to get me wrong. I do like it, but you know, it has its places. So these little Velcro dots, two of them, two pair, will come in a kit. Two pair. And they're just for basically placement on the tray. They're not to hold it down. You know, the combination of them and the straps will hold it down. I wanted to make a quick mention of the countersinks. And they are right here. You just take a little drill point or any drill you have and just run it in there and countersink for the screw so it's nice and flush when you go to screw the deck down. Let's see. Like so. So you just want to make sure that that's nice and flush, because the deck impacts it. It slides by it, so you don't want to be... Okay, last operation that needs to happen with the deck. This is a couple of little cut detents. You'll see them little half moon shapes. What you have to do is take a file and follow what the cut I give you, and put that identical shape in the rail of the deck. Start your file like that. You don't want to go through the rail, but you just want to clear it, because that's going to clear it for the bulkhead that exists in the plane itself.